This is your do now. You need to be completing it at a volume level 1. This was the quiz that I was going to give you today. I decided I didn't want to be extra mean and give you a quiz and a test. So you are going to have 5 minutes to start this as you do now. You are going to have 5 minutes to start this as you do now before we get to warming up for the test, okay? After the test, you will have more time to work on this, or you can complete it at home. If you turn it into me, any points that you get right on here will be added to your test grade today. So think of it as a little bit of extra credits and incentive to get that done, okay? So once again, working at a level 0 on this handout in your seats. That means quietly, no talking by yourself. I'm going to take attendance, and then we'll get rolling for the day. This volume level is fantastic. Keep it up. So,
others that left us.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the timer is off. So if you have a question, can you hold on to it for this moment? I'm going to give you an opportunity. I'm going to give you an opportunity for questions. So before we go on to our test, we got through our do now. We're going to do any last minute questions. So that means questions on what you were working on the do now, because that information is going to be on the test you're going to see in just a moment. And then any questions that you might have found when you were studying last night or doing your review packet. Okay, we're going to do about 5 to 8 minutes of that max, and then once that's done, we're going to go ahead and jump in and start our Unit 1 and 2 summative tests, okay? So, with that in mind, do we have any questions that you would like to go over related to your handout that you had? Any questions, anything that I can show you how to do, Alexis? Number 5. Can you go ahead and read that one to me, please?
At home and students grade are calculated by using the weighted average. Tests that were 40% RP are worth 50%. Quizzes that were 25% and finals are 20%. Students have problem scores for each area for output. Tests 70% RP, 85% quizzes, 8% finals, 75%. What is the student's grade now?
So an awful lot of information being thrown at us there, right? A whole bunch of percents and words and all sorts of stuff. So can someone raise your hand and tell me a strategy for pulling out what I think is important? Deshaun? So you're saying how much it's worth? Pay attention to those percentages? Okay, so I can underline those if I want. I can write them to the side if I want. What else am I looking at? Natasha? The student scores, right? The student's average percent, so I need to pay attention to these as well. So I can underline again, pull them out. So what am I calculating here? What skill am I using? So I'm going to go back to you, Deshaun. I'm going to use multiplication, but I'm thinking more along the line, what's this called? What is it called? So I'm trying to figure out the score. We did this yesterday. Davian. It's the average. What type of average? Is the normal average? Is the mean or what? Total average. What's that called? Close. The weighted average, right? That's where I give a different amount of importance to each part of my score. So someone who's feeling especially brave feels like they're going to get this on the test, no problem. Can you raise your hand and tell me, how do I calculate a weighted average? John? So which one am I writing as a decimal? The student's scores or how much it's worth? How much it's worth. Remember, we write our weights as decimals. So I might make a category. I might organize it as tests. I have quizzes. I have a RRT and final. So we talked about the first step yesterday, writing those weights as decimals. So I'm going to look up here. I see tests are worth 40%. That's its weight, how much it's worth. So how can I write that as a decimal? Michaela? 0.4. Okay. And I would do that for all of my categories. Okay, so once I did it for all of my categories, I would go on to step 2. Once I have my weight as a decimal, what am I going to do next? Sean?
Multiply it with the word.
Multiply it by what? By how? By the word. So I I know it's worth 40%, which is 0.4. You're halfway there, you're telling me I gotta multiply it by something, but I need to know what that something is. Alexis? The average that he has, what is average does he have in test? He's got 70% in test, so I multiply it by the average. So now I can do this multiplication. Once I get the multiplication done, I get an answer, which I think in this case is going to be about 28. So once I have a number, a weight for all of my values, what's my very last step once I have all of these done? I add them all up. My answer is now my grade in the class. Okay? So you're just going to go through these 3 steps with each of these sections and add them up to get your weight in the class. Okay? Now, one thing I will warn you about, this is something I see a lot of people doing, is that they tell me 0.4 for test, but then they maybe multiply it by an 80% for quizzes. So make sure that you're using the test weight with the test score and not the test weight with like the quiz score, okay? Michaela.
So you did 4 times 7.
I did 4 times 70 and then I added a decimal, or 4 times 7. So if I did it with the decimal, I'd get 8.0. Okay. Does anyone want to see that, to see the decimal rule with multiplying? Okay. Any other questions either on this worksheet or on something that you saw on your review packet from previous quizzes that you want to see before we start arguing 1 and 2 tests? Arturo,
Possible for you to go any further into the problem?
would you want me to show me your quizzes as well? Alright, so we'll do quizzes as well. So if I am turning, my first step was to turn my quiz worth, which is 25%, into a decimal. If you want, please raise your hand and tell me how do I do that into a decimal. Antonia. 0.25? Yep, beautiful. Alright, now I need to know what am I multiplying my 0.25 by, Daryl? 80, because I have 80% in quizzes, so I'm going to multiply it by 80. Okay, so if I'm setting this up as a multiplication problem, I might do it off to the side and I do my 0.25 times 80. Okay, I get 0. I'm going to hold 0 as my place value and come over to the 8 times 5 is what, everyone?
4.
Nice and loud.
4.
40. Carry my 4. 8 times 2 is what? 16 plus that 4 is 20. Can someone raise your hand and tell me where I put that decimal? Kalila? After the 20? So like here? Is that what you mean? So 2 place values in? Okay, so make it into a 20. Okay. Why did you put it there? Okay, so I just want to know why is it 20 and not 200 or 2,000? Well, why does it belong there, Terry?
Because like when you start from like 55 years old, it's too old.
Okay, so I have 2 decimal places here in my numbers that I'm multiplying, my factors. So I have to have 2 in my answer. Is that what you're saying? John? And so I count how many to the decimal. So to kind of combine what John and Tariq said with my interpretation was, if I start here at the 5 and I go over, I have 2 spaces after the decimal here. So I have a total, there's none after my 80, right? It's just 80. So in my factors that I'm multiplying, I have a total of 2 decimal places. So in my answer, in my product, I have to have 2 decimal places as well. Okay? Nicely done. We work through that together. So now that I've multiplied it, I got 20.0. And I'm going to add that 0.0 just to make sure all my decimals line up when I add. Okay? And you would just repeat that process again. Does that help, Arturo? Alright, any other questions that I can answer for you? You guys feel pretty confident? You guys have been working hard, so we're going to do really well, right? Okay. Yeah, anything that you want from unit 1 and 2. Okay.
How do you decide?
So you guys want, we'll do probability really quick?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, this is our last question and then we'll go ahead and start the test. That's a good